Welcome to The Modern Engineer, hosted by Syed Ishaat. This show goes beyond surface-level career advice, exploring how senior engineers and technical leaders build leverage, navigate complexity, and position themselves for long-term success.
Welcome to The Modern Engineer. I'm Syed Ishaat, and today I'm joined by Julie Price.
Hello. Thanks for having me today.
Before we dive in, Julie, can you give a little context on what your role looks like today and what you're primarily responsible for?
Sure. So I am the director of marketing at Atlanta Tech Park. I am responsible for basically all things marketing and promoting not only the space and what we do as a service to our community members, but I also help with promoting events that are held here, both ones that we host and others that are where our location is selected as the venue. So we're a 45,000 square foot co-working space and accelerator. We work with companies and individuals at any stage. And when I give people a tour of the building, because it's 45,000 square feet and it's basically a giant rectangle, work in the front, party in the back. So we have a great event venue that and host a lot of events for other organizations here as well. And then I help market that.
Very cool.
Yeah, I counsel our members too. Counsel is probably not the good word, but I will talk with them and help brainstorm marketing ideas. I'll look at their pitch deck, give them feedback with that. I helped one of our cohort members come up with her company name, and then we started brainstorming about logos and things like that. So I like to think of myself as a resource for our members too, with whatever they need help with, and a starting point for them.
Awesome. I wanted to point out that is actually where I met Julie. Yeah,
That is true. We met at the tech meetup that we have every month. You have to come to this month's tech meetup that's happening in May. I know I'm doing a shameless plug, but one of our cohort members developed an app called Fox Block, and it is a app that you can download during an event and fill out your profile, and then you can put questions in there or answer questions as to who you want to connect with. And then the app helps connect you with those persons or people, and give you a designated place and time to meet. And you also get a picture of what they look like, so you know who you're going to talk to. We tested it out at our Wine Wednesday, and it was great. It was really, really engaging. And so I'm excited that we're going to do that at the tech meetup, because it's going to be a larger group. So you definitely have to come for that.
I'm going to have to attend. Yep, count me in.
Yes.
So, how did you start out your career, Julie, and what challenges would you say you faced along the way?
Well, I started out as an administrative assistant slash secretary. Um, and I kind of fell into a marketing role. I discovered um, a software box that had freelance in it, which is Lotus's version of PowerPoint. And I found a 2-pen plotter, and I started designing presentations for the marketing group to provide to the sales department for Duracell. So that was my life before moving to Georgia. Um, and so that's what started my career. And then I went to Western Connecticut State to get towards working towards a degree in business administration with a minor in marketing, and just kind of took it and ran with it. I developed slides before you could bring a laptop, and
Yeah,
just worked in the marketing department. And as far as challenges go, it's just trying to break through that barrier of being a female in the business. When I was an administrative assistant, I definitely had my favorite story that I like to tell is I was on crutches, and my boss walked out of his office and looked at me and said, "Can you go get us coffee?" And walked back in. And I just stood there and I looked at my fellow administrative assistant, and I was like, what part of I can't carry coffee did he miss? So it kind of, that always sticks in my mind, because it's just a reminder of how far we've come. Um, not just for women, but for I think everybody. Um, and I'm glad that I have five daughters, and I'm glad that they don't like have to be confronted with quite that much um, in what they're doing.
That's awesome. So, what was the pivotal moment in your career that really catapulted it? What was your career trajectory? What was the moment that happened? Would you say it was like a project? Was it a customer presentation? Was it a customer meeting? What really catapulted your career?
The two things happened because there was like two different points where my career really, when I worked at Duracell, one of the things that I did was I actually like made a pitch and presented to my boss that, you know, I'm not just doing an administrative assistant's job. I'm doing A, B, C. I'm supporting the sales team. I'm coming up with presentations. I'm taking the things that you guys are finding and I'm putting it out there and basically created a role for me in the Duracell marketing department. And we formed a whole new department called Creative Services. And so um, worked for a guy named Jim Adelman, who's like was my best boss ever. And I learned so much from him, and I learned about how to develop and because you can go to school and you can learn all the tools and you can learn how to use software, but you have to have an eye, I think, for in the marketing sphere for how something should look on a page, how you can balance out. Um, I always say that AI, with the dawn of AI, that it's your friend, so don't be scared, but it's a tool and don't rely too heavily on it because I was trying to see what ChatGPT would come up with for a graphic for advertising for a gymnastics gym. And we wanted to use a bear. And this bear that the AI generated had five legs. And I'm like, I don't want five legs. I want four legs. And no matter how many different ways I tried to phrase it or whatever, I could not get rid of the fifth leg. And so that's just an example about how you've got to be careful that you don't have garbage in, garbage out, and that a trained eye is going to always be something that is necessary for marketing. But anyway, so I that started really my journey into marketing was just getting into that creative services role, getting more involved with packaging design. That's when we moved from, like paper PowerPoint presentations to 35 millimeter slides. That was like the next big thing. And I brought that in house and saved the company a ton of money. And so, we'd send the sales reps out with binders with slides in it. And then the second time which is what brought me to like where I am right now, is my husband bought a web design business for $85 in 1998 and said, "Hey, you know how to do presentations. This shouldn't be too far off the bat." Well, I learned the hard way that you can't design a website like a PowerPoint, but that's what started me on this 20-year journey of being um, a marketing support, doing website design, doing presentations, doing marketing content and things like that. So those are the two moments that kind of stick out the most for me.
It sounds like you definitely were the jack of all trades when you were at Duracell. You wore
Yes.
multiple hats. Yeah.
Yes, I did. It was a lot of fun. I was also the happy hour coordinator too, because my name was Julie, and it was like there was a spoof up as Julie McCoy, the cruise director. So I got to pick where SS Duracell happy hour would go on Fridays. So that was great fun. But it built a lot of great team camaraderie. Like that time that I spent there, it was just something I have tried to replicate it. And I think being part of Atlanta Tech Park has been the closest thing that I've come to repeating that culture, that energy, and just that having a really good time working hard. So,
So specifically at Duracell, that moment where your career trajectory happened, the catapult, what would you say changed? What did you have more of now? Did you get more recognition? Did you get a promotion? Did you have a whole bigger team under you? What was that like when you really got elevated in your career at Duracell?
I did get a promotion, yes, which was good and bad because you went promoted from hourly to salary, which is great until you're putting in 90-hour weeks because you're trying to get slides made. And then you're like, wow, I could be making more per hour if I was at McDonald's. I got an office, which was converted closet, but it was a big deal because I could shut my door and focus on what I needed to focus on. But you could fit a desk in it, so, and a little chair next to the desk if someone needed to come in and sit down. So the best recognition that I did get, though, being part of that, was the sales team had a goal this one year that if the U.S. sales team broke $1 billion in sales, the sales meeting would be in Hawaii. And sales and marketing got to go to Hawaii. And I was like, salary grade level below the cutoff of being able
Um,
to go to Hawaii. But I had on both the sales and the marketing department that went to bat for me, and about how I did with the presentation development and those types of things. And so I did get to go. And I think that was the best recognition that you could have, because I mean, being able to go, it was in February too, and we lived in Connecticut. So, like leaving the
yeah,
snow to
yeah,
go spend 5 days the Big Island was just incredible. So that was one of my favorite. And then I also got chosen at the very last minute to fly to London to a meeting because we were doing something globally. And I just said, it might be really helpful if I come because of, the things that I've done. And they said, yeah, I think you're right. So, I mean, we literally, I think I flew out on a Saturday night, got in there on a Sunday morning, got to go around London Sunday, had our meeting on Monday, and I think I flew back Monday night. Like, it was the fastest turnaround, but that was still amazing too. So, some good memories.
yeah. Made the most of it while it lasted there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, how does someone listening achieve your level of success? I know that's kind of a loaded question. It could be many
Mhm.
things. What would you say? Persistence, um, vigor. Um, how does someone achieve your level of success where you are right now?
I would say don't be afraid of a no. Been my whole thing. If you're told no, you're where you're at, as if you didn't ask. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, because not being afraid of a no means, you can go out and say, look, I don't think that um, recognized for what I'm doing, because there's so many things that I'm doing that are outside of the bare minimum that you've given me. And, if I was afraid that they would say, well, it doesn't matter anyway, I would never have gone in and made the pitch and, then had the opportunity to, present to my manager, her director, um, about London. Like, I was worried about a no, I never would have gotten to go. So there's just so many times when I look back that it's that not being afraid of a no has come into to be so important. And I think especially for people that are just starting out in their career, they're thinking about starting a business. I mean, face it, you can change your career and start your career really at any age. So don't be afraid of somebody saying no to you, because it just means that it's not the right time, or there's another pathway, or someone else that's going to say yes.
That's a really good one. Use it as fuel. Don't
Exactly.
just
Yes.
stop when someone says no. Use it to your leverage.
Right. And then I think what you get is that also ties into like some of the other things you were asking about, like and energy and determination and things like that. Is just, you know, um, and I also, my friend and mine we call it follow the blinking arrows. So when you're trying to make a decision and you're thinking about something, when you follow the blinking arrows that are what your true path is supposed to be, it's not to say things are going to be easy, but things fall into place like they're supposed to. Then you'll find you'll find the answers that you need and the tools that you need to succeed at what your goals are.
Very good. Well, it sounds like things are going really well for you professionally, Julie. And when, people get to a certain level in their career, they start thinking more intentionally about the future. Things
Mhm.
like flexibility, optionality, or even passive income to already
Mhm.
complement what they're doing. Is that something you've thought about?
Um, yeah, I mean, right now, flexibility, I think, is important. I mean, passive income is something that, you have looked at before. Tried to help some companies before that, and not to say that I won't continue to do that, where, there's an equity piece to it, and that was going to help with some passive income. Some of them we're still waiting to come to fruition. Others got kind of stuck in I call it the permanent pivot, because they keep wanting everything to be perfect before they try to go and launch their service or their product or whatever, and they miss that window. Um, so that's another thing I would say is pull the trigger. Um, for me, flexibility and just enjoyment is the most important thing. Um, you know, I don't think I would be content not doing anything, at least at this point in my life. So the idea of having something that I enjoy, that's flexible, and that can work with me is more the most important thing right now.
Very good. Very good. Well, if someone listening right now is on a similar path but early in their career, what is something you wish you knew much sooner?
Well, that's a good question. I think the importance of a good team, that I want everybody to would want people to think about, and you know who you're surrounding yourself with, because you want to be with a team that has fun working hard. And I would also say that you want to be aligned culturally, you know, with your goals and objectives, and that misalignment can really be costly. Um, I think that, and I would also say just not to be too quick to be too trusting. So, um, if you're getting ready to like your own business and things like that, like make sure that, um, love what Robin talks about, uh, our founder, with people that are starting a business and they're trying to fundraise, and are willing at the time, they're like they're looking for the funding. So if somebody says, hey, I want equity, they're like, okay, yeah, whatever. And Robin's always the one that says, practice the pause, really look at it, see if it makes sense. Because we've had people that have been members of the park where they've done that. They've gone out, they've gotten the funding, they've given away pieces of their equity to the point where they're no longer the majority shareholder. And now this idea that they've had, which is like a baby, I mean, it's like when you're trying to start your own business, it's like a child, is suddenly gone because you've given it away and now you don't even recognize it. So I would say just to cautious, and you may not be afraid of a no, which is good. Just make sure that your yes is qualified.
That's really good. Yeah. Sure it's aligned, be cautious. That's a good one. I'm glad you touched on that because, yeah, by the time you know it, you could be so deep into the fund and excited, for your own brand product. Suddenly, you don't have that much equity because you just gave it all
Right.
away. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden somebody wants to sell it or do something, and you have not you can't say stop because you don't have the majority interest anymore. So that can be very frustrating.
yeah. Absolutely. Well, Julie, I really appreciate you sharing your perspective today. And I think it'll resonate very well with the audience. I think the audience has a lot to take back from this. And your time today.
I
Um,
enjoyed chatting with you.
yeah. Thanks for listening to The Modern Engineer. I'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Modern Engineer with Syed Ishaat. If this episode resonated, make sure to subscribe and share it with others. And if you bring a unique perspective on leverage and long-term positioning, you can learn more about being considered for the show in the links below.